talk about consumerism.
All right.
Okay. Now, it came out of the conflict of the 1960s, first as an advertising term, but now as a legitimate concept that's been, that public relations practitioners deal with every day. It's been 10 years since you wrote the chapter on consumer affairs and consumerism for Leslie's Handbook of PR and Communications.
It's more like 30 years. You're being very kind.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's more like 30 years.
Wow.
Consumer things has changed so much. So much more speed in communication. And the consumer, I think, knows more and has access to more information than ever before. And I think we have to be very careful, now that we've speeded up communications, to make sure the message is right, because when it goes so fast and you're doing so many things, you don't have the time to double check and do some of the kind of things we normally used to do when we had deadlines on a newspaper or deadlines on a television or radio show. Now it's instant everything, and I think consumers are more skeptical. They've been fooled. They've been scammed and spammed and all kinds of things. And I think we have to be very careful how we tailor messages for them so that they're tailored just for the consumer we want to do. At McCormick, we used to try to work on several levels. We worked on the mother who stayed at home and cooked meals that took a long time and used spices a different way. And then we developed all kinds of recipes and ideas for working mothers because they have less time. And then we began developing things for the older group of people who want the gourmet kind of food and will spend that kind of time with it. And you develop different messages very carefully, because there's a big difference between stay-at-home mother, working father, and or stay-at-home father, and how we do approach the selling of spices. It's different audiences, and I think too many times we think one message suits all, and we used to do that lots of times, but we can't do that anymore. I think you have to be very careful to watch the integrity of all suppliers to make sure that they follow the same guidelines you do, because in the spice business, you're preparing things people are going to eat. And you have to be very careful about how it's packaged, how it's stored, how it's transported, how it gets to the shelf, and what part of the shelf it's on even. So it's a tougher role, I think. But we came through that consumerism period, I think, pretty well. For a while, we were over-regulating everything to the point that it was getting pretty ridiculous. But I think we've gotten through that. And I helped form the first Consumer Affairs Committee for PRSA, because I thought we ought to get all these people there involved with this. It's evolved into what now is the corporate section. But for the early days, we were the consumer people trying to get people to tell the truth on labels and